Ryan Garcia just did his media workout, and gosh, he's looking real scary, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Devin Haney, Rolly Romero, both of these guys could be in serious trouble looking at how Ryan's training. He looks, number one, really focused. Looks like he's gotten all the distractions outside of the ring, you know, all sorted out and everything's in order. So that's a good thing to see, you know, mentally he's in a good headspace. But number two, Ryan Garcia looks really strong. It doesn't even look like he's going to make 147, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses weight again because he looks really strong, looks physically bigger, and I feel like that left hook, if it was a problem, then it's going to be an even bigger problem at a higher weight class, where I think he'll still have the speed of the left hook, and I feel like the power going up in weight obviously is going to help substantially when it comes to cracking anybody. You know, I like Rolly Romero. I think he's a very entertaining character. He deserves a lot of credit because a lot of people forget the fact that, you know, Rolly started boxing late. Like, he's dealing with a guy in Ryan Garcia who has had a bunch of, you know, amateur experience, is a well-decorated amateur, and a lot of these guys have strong amateur experience, and then you have a guy like Rolly who started late but is still found himself on the same stage as some of these guys like Ryan Garcia, who's a 16-time national champion. And I feel like that says a lot. You know, you could say what you want about Rolly, but you don't just get to this stage by being silly and being an entertaining guy who knows how to do interviews. You know, he is an entertaining fighter. He knows how to get clicks and make people watch the fight and kind of give into everything he's saying, buy into it, and invest their time into his interviews and whatnot. But he does have a level of skill as well. You know, Rolly, you got to give him at the bare minimum credit for, you know, being a really strong fighter physically, and he can crack. So I feel like Rolly is still a live dog against Ryan Garcia. Even though Ryan, you know, looks solid and everything like that, Rolly's an awkward fighter. He has deceiving power where, you know, he is unpredictable. He's a little bit unorthodox, so you don't know where those punches are coming from. Yeah, they may be wild and a little bit easy to telegraph, but if, you know, there's a break, if a referee calls a break and then, you know, Ryan Garcia and Rolly are tied up and then Rolly throws a big overhand right, you don't know what's going to happen. I feel like people are counting out Rolly already because of his chin, but taking into account the fact that Ryan Garcia and Rolly Romero are going to be fighting at a higher weight class where Rolly's not going to have to be dehydrated, I feel like his punch resistance should be somewhat stronger, but obviously it's going to get tested. You know, there's no doubt about that. Rolly's chin is definitely going to get tested by Ryan Garcia, and seeing and judging from what is going on in Ryan Garcia's training footage, he looks very strong. He's not throwing crazy punches to the point where, you know, they're easy to telegraph. You can predict the pattern or the rhythm of Ryan Garcia. He looks like he's changing things up with the footwork, working on different angles, turning. You know, Derek James is making him work on different looks and making sure that he's not just staying in one spot the whole fight. He's a little bit versatile, light on his feet, and I think that's going to make him very dangerous, and it'll lead him to stop Rolly Romero. But it's all about execution. I feel like Ryan Garcia, you know, he's looking good, he's looking sharp and focused, but like Oscar De La Hoya said, you know, we're only going to know how locked in or how much Ryan Garcia has grown as a person and as a fighter. We're not going to know until we see him in the ring, because it's been a year. You know, there is such thing as ring rust, and people are going to say, oh, but he's obviously been sparring. It's different in an actual fight, you know, a 12-round fight where there's no headgear, the gloves are lighter, and like I said, Rolly Romero can crack as well. So although I do favor Ryan Garcia against Rolly Romero, I feel like Rolly is still a live dog. You know, he still definitely has a chance. I don't think by any means that this is a landslide fight. You got two guys who are unpredictable, both a little bit wild, both guys that don't like to, you know, really stick to a game plan. They don't really listen to instructions from their corners, if we're being honest, but both have power. You know, Rolly's not as talented as Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is just on another level, and he has the experience that Rolly doesn't. But Rolly's been in the, you know, the big stage before. He's been on that stage with Tank. You know, he's had moments where he's been cracked and really hurt. So I feel like against Ryan Garcia, he's going to have to be very careful from, you know, entering a similar outcome. But he still does have a level of power, and he's going to feel more comfortable at this weight class. And I feel like he's being more calm, you know, throughout this promotion, because he doesn't want to make Ryan Garcia mad. He wants to get the version of Rolly that's like, Rolly wants to get the version of Ryan that's a little bit chill, a little bit mellow, so maybe he's not as fierce. But if Ryan Garcia gets riled up and he gets angry and decides he wants to really hurt Rolly, like, I think Rolly could potentially get retired in this fight against Ryan Garcia. But we'll see what happens. I think it's a much closer fight than a lot of people are giving Rolly credit for. But, you know, we'll see what happens. I got to pick Ryan, but still a relatively competitive fight in my eyes. But let me know down below what you guys think. Rolly and Ryan, I think it's a great fight. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys on the next Nabs Boxing video. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.